So today Kai and I are making chocolate chip cookies from the chocolate chip cookie mix from Woolies. And it says that we just need to add 60 grams of butter, which we already have, 1 large egg, and it says that we need to have an electric mixer. We're just going to use a normal manual whisk, baking tray, cooling rack, and it says the first step, you heat the oven to 180 degrees. Then we beat the butter and sugar until it's creamy and pale in color, and then we beat in the egg until combined and add the cookie mix whilst beating the dough. Stir in the chocolate chunks until well blended, and then drop spoonfuls of dough onto greased baking tray. Leave space between cookies to allow for spreading. All right, so the first thing we need to do, 180 degrees Celsius, we did that already. Beat butter and sugar. So we're going to mix the butter and sugar, which already comes pre-packed in the mix, and we're going to add the egg, and then we're going to combine with the cookie mix. All right, whilst we beat the dough. Okay, let's get right into it. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is take out the contents. It's not much, so that's the cookie mix. We've got the sugar pre-packed in there already, and we've got our chip. Okay, so open this and then you can pour it in. You can pour that in and start mixing. Okay, pour it into the sugar and then the butter, all of it. All of it in. Alright, start mixing. Let's mix with all the power and might that you have. Want me to help you? Let's do it together. Hold it with me. Hold it, ladies. I'm going to do this together. So you have to really beat it thoroughly until it's pure white. It's gonna take forever, eh? Where's our blender? Our hand blender. Maybe we should use that. Okay. Let me try.
To make shakes.
No, the hand one. There's this other one.
That one. It's not turning white.
It's going to turn white. Step says, okay, beating the egg until combined, add cookie mix. Okay, all right, so the next step is to add the here. Now you can add the egg. So you're going to go round and round in circles, okay? Hold it from here. Hold it from here. mix. Beautiful, looks nice and creamy.
You can mix that. My fingers
now
getting tired.
Your fingers are getting tired. Okay, so now we're going to add the peanuts.
Is that powder?
I can mix that. Nice and gently, okay? Okay, you can come and add the chopped chips.
All of them. It's a mix. I wonder why these don't look like top tips.
What do they look like? They'll melt inside the oven. I greased it. So let's put it this way. Sorry?
What's that?
I was going to actually mix in this, but I decided this will be easier for you since you are short. Okay, so now, so it reads here, we need to drop spoonful of dough onto the grease pan. So okay, I'm going to get spoons. Just a second. It's nice and round. So we're going to make lines now, so we're going to do this. And drop the first one there. Not too close to the edge, right? Yeah, put it there. That's fine. Okay. Just circle it a bit. Because now we need space for it to flatten. Then the next one, let me just clear this. And then we can add the all ready to go into the oven. Okay, so they're all done. Lesson learned, should have made the scoops a bit smaller and used a bigger tray, but otherwise they taste so good. You won't go wrong with this, especially if you're like me and you're not necessarily cooking domesticated. But yeah, this just, it does the job. Just does the trick. They remind me of Mug and Bean's monster cookies. Okay, so next time, bigger tray, smaller scoops. Bigger tray, smaller scoops. They look good, hey? Yes. Okay. I think this would be awesome with a cup of milk. Now this session felt like I was starting all over again, following 2 weeks of bed rest. First week, due to a toe fracture, I slipped and fell whilst washing the stoop outside. And the second week, due to wisdom tooth extraction, I had all 4 of my wisdom teeth extracted in theater. So because they were all impacted, I had to be completely knocked out. I came out of that super swollen, but not in so much pain. Honestly, I feel like it's really exaggerated how wisdom tooth extraction can go, but I guess different strokes for different folks. Mine was pretty easy. I have hectic trypanophobia, which is an extreme fear for needles. I could literally pass out each time I'm about to be injected or have bloods withdrawn or anything of that sort. So my biggest hurdle was the thought of any needle numbing that I would need to undergo. But fortunately, all I needed, which I think was way better than having needles stuck into my gums, all I needed was the IV incision through which my anesthesia was injected. Then following that hurdle, the rest was basically history, because I underwent the whole thing, obviously knocked out, woke up mainly numb. I did request for more pain meds through my IV before I left, and they did insist that I have something to drink or something to eat. They wouldn't release me until I had something to eat or drink, so they can tick off that I can eat by myself and I'm well enough to consume the required nutrients for a speedy recovery. Yeah, and I got home. I think I didn't take a shower. I was too wheezy. I was like still out of it. So I think I jumped right into bed. Yeah, and I was out for most of the night, except I think here and there, if I recall clearly where I needed, what I don't necessarily remember if I needed it, but I think I did wake up for just a bit of pain meds because I was scared the pain might just kick in once my previous dose of meds weared off, but it didn't. I didn't need my pain meds much. That's another thing. So the procedure itself, if you get to have it done in theater, there isn't much to really be scared of. You're completely knocked out, so you feel absolutely nothing. One. Secondly, when you wake up, they give you sufficient pain meds as well as numbing meds so that you don't feel much until you get home and you're settled, and you just continue taking your pain meds for the duration of your recovery or for the time you feel like you still need it. However, again, different strokes with different folks depending on how complicated someone's procedure might be. The outcome might be slightly different or completely different. This was my experience, which I honestly think was pretty smooth, and even the healing process has been smooth. It's been how many days into it now? I think today is the 9th day. Yeah. So with that exercise in particular, I know that if or should you start exercise too soon, you can become lightheaded, feel dizzy because you have a lot of blood rushing to your head and therefore possible bleeding. So you are cautioned not to exercise for at least the first 3 days post-surgery. Mine is 8 days and I still felt like there was a lot of blood rush to my head as I started. I really felt like woozy, like what is going on? But I pushed through because I knew I had all my clots dry and some had even popped out already, and I knew there was no risk of what you call dry socket, where my blood clots could become dislodged and I might experience a dry hole and exposure to my what do you call them, jaw bones. But I experienced nothing like that. I knew I had gone way past the caution period, considering that I think this is about 10 days later. Tuesday last week. Today's Friday. Oh, it's long. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 10 days later. So this is 10 days later. So yeah, and I was told my recovery might take up to around 14 days. So yeah, look, I'm literally 4 days to my full recovery. Though, on my right side, barely any pain, barely any nothing. It was so literally as if I had lost a baby tooth, when it just pops out and you continue with life the next day. The only problem was my left side. Now, the extractions on my left side have been something else because I've got stitches both on my top and bottom gums. And the healing is quite gradual and so this side of my gums are still tender and still quite sensitive to texture, food, chewing, pressure. It's still just quite sensitive and tender. I do feel a bit of discomfort. So yeah, but besides that, here I am. Back at what will hopefully be consistent and uninterrupted exercise routine. and progress. Oh yeah, it was just a day admission. You are there for most of the day that you are booked for extraction, and once you go in for extraction, you are sent back to the ward just to I guess for the sedation to wear off and for them to monitor you and just protocol observation before they can release you, make sure you're fully okay to go home. But yeah, otherwise it's really nothing to fuss about or to have any anxiety over. It's basically a smooth hurdle to painless days. I think that's how I'd advise you to view it.